So I wanted to make a quick one-take video of the Domio MotoPro, Pro being their air mic. So I wanted to keep this video super short, and FYI I'm not paid or anything, and I just made a little list. So I used this last year, and I'd say around the temperature of like -4 all the way up to 20 degrees. And first thing off the bat, they have issues with actually delivering their products to customers, and if you're one of them, I really don't. Just gonna leave it at that. Okay, so the mic. The thing with the mic with this thing is, so I tried to make this work with like a regular call, wouldn't work. I tried to make it work with Messenger, wouldn't work. And as for the actual comms function, from what I can understand, I think you need to have another Domio device, or else they can't communicate with each other. So if you have a center or something, as far as I know, they can't talk to each other. So good luck with that. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. And okay, next thing, the volume. Now, okay, so the issue with the volume on this thing is depending on where you mounted things. So in my case, I mounted it over here. Okay, and the reason why I mounted it over here, because my primary reason was this was for music, and I wanted to be able to evenly hear from both sides, kind of thing. So what I found was the best compromise was this was a pretty good position that was best for that. So and I should probably cover this sooner, but this is basically a little transducer. What all it does is, if I was to play some music, so it uses the surface as your traditional speaker that actually produces the vibration sound you hear, which is what makes it different from your average like in-ear earbuds or like side-mounted speakers on the side kind of thing with the other ones. So that's the main thing that it has going for it. Now, so back to the volume. So the volume on this thing is, it's not the loudest thing now, especially if you're on the highway and you're like flying down the road with the wind blasting in your ear. You barely can hear the music, and if you have direction up, you can barely hear the direction either. So like I went on like a really long road trip, and what I had to do, I pulled over, I had some earbuds inside my bag, took them off and I put them on because I could not hear the direction. Like I literally missed a turn because I couldn't hear the direction. So for highway driving, I wouldn't recommend it. Now inside the city, that's different. It's actually perfect for inside the city because it's on like traditionally speakers on like both sides of your ears kind of thing, with like earbuds kind of thing. So it sounds more like it's coming from outside of you. Now why is that a good thing? So right now, it's using the table itself as the source of the sound that's coming, instead of like one point source. So like the table itself is kind of vibrating off the sound, so it isn't like coming from like one particular spot to say. So because of that, you can still hear the people around you, and say if there's a car or something, as long as you have like a reasonable volume and stuff like that, it's kind of like you're listening to music through a speaker instead of like headphones to say. And now the only drawback to that is back to the same thing I was talking about the highway. It doesn't get that loud, and the EQ on this thing is on the bassier side of things, especially depending on where you mount it. Now there's also another thing that the manual that came with this thing mentioned, like depending on where you mount it. So if you want to use it as say more of like a comms for like hearing and stuff, you can mount it more on the side. But obviously what that would do is surprisingly enough, the stereo effect is sort of there. Now don't expect this as like a full-on audio file kind of thing. This is not that, but it isn't meant to be. And if you mount it on the side, you will hear it louder, but it's still not going to be good enough for the highway. And so okay, so even though if you're one of the people that kind of crave the bass kind of thing, so if I open my music player, so now depending on what app you're using, you know how like VLC has like 200% audio kind of thing. So all that is like a preamp. Now if you like, all the complication aside, once you kind of like set it right, you can have this thing play really loud. But the only issue is it was never designed for that. So if you were to do that, you're pretty much asking to kind of actually ruin the thing. So there were times where I would actually do that, especially when I was on the highway, because I couldn't hear the thing. Now, if you're into all that, you can ask me in the comment section. I can tell you how to set up this thing. But in this scenario, for example, this was for like music, and this only worked with like the music I was listening to. And it's a bit finicky, and you shouldn't really have to go through all the trouble, honestly. There should be like a little mode for just audio, and that's something Domio should have as an update or something. Anyway, so the other thing, okay, if you look at the plastic tabs over here, okay, just take my word for it. Now, if you look at the plastic tabs, so I only use this for like a few months, and they are worn out good. And this is not a replaceable piece, and I don't think they sell replacements for this. The plastic on this is wearing out really quickly. And now the thing is that how I had it mounted was, I had it mounted this way. And so when this eventually wears out enough, this thing is going to pop right out of your helmet. I mean, now say if you had it mounted this way, that wouldn't be an issue. But because I had it mounted this way, that would just pop right out of my helmet. So there's also like the quality issue as well. Another thing, so the little adapter mount thingy, they have no mention on the maximum curvature you can mount it to. So with the issue I was having, let's try to get this to focus again. Alright, so I don't know if you can see that, but you see how the glue is kind of coming off? That's because it was never meant to go somewhere that curvy. And again, quality issue. What's the next one? Okay, their app is really nothing special. All it has is just a thing for their comms, and that's the only use for it. Again, around the city, navigation. It's just like literally having someone right beside you instead of like in your ears kind of thing. Like I would recommend it. Okay, the other thing. So at some point I had this little rubber flap thing come off, and again, quality issue. And I've somehow poked my finger and managed to get that back in there. And now the thing is though, this is all that is protecting that little USB Type-C port in there from water from getting in there. So, like, especially when I had it mounted, okay, so the reason why I had it mounted this way, because I didn't want water to get in there, so I had it mounted this way. Again, quality issue. So, okay, so how long do you need to charge this thing? In general, what I found is that you gotta leave it like pretty much all night. It takes a good while to charge this thing, and don't bother using your like Samsung charger or something. Get like a good like Anchor charger or something like that like kind of works with all devices. So if you use like a Samsung charger or something like that, this thing won't charge, will start complaining and blah blah blah. So get like a good charger for this, and something with obviously like Type-C. So these both are Type-C, and they do also last. I found that if I was like say for like daily commuting, and say if my daily commute was roughly like say 20 minutes both ways, I could make this thing last actually like a solid week. So the battery life on it's actually not too bad. And with that said, I wasn't blasting music at maximum volume, so it may vary depending on your use case. And it also holds charge decently, so I never had issues with that either. And that is literally about it. Now, if you have any questions you want to ask about it, and like, why am I not getting a unit? I don't know. Ask the company. And I guess I'm gonna end it off on one single note, and that is this little light at the back. If you have it mounted this way, it's actually pretty neat, especially at night, so that people can see you. So, you know, on a motorcycle, you really want to be seen, so nobody drives right into you. And that is my one take video. Now, I started off thinking it's going to be a short video, but apparently it was not. Anyway, I hope you find it useful and all informative. If you have any questions that I didn't perhaps cover in this little list during the short time I was using it, fire away in the comment section.